Hey everyone, in JP they recently got the third part to their dream evolutions. The 7 units that got buffs include Dargan, Herc, Valhalla, Amelia, Eros, Angelus, and Eagle. Some of the buffs were very mid while some of them were actually fairly strong, so I'll go more in depth for the bigger ones, although I will be going over all of them. For the passives, you're only able to choose one of the dream passives, just in case anyone's wondering as well. They don't get all, however many they have, 2 or 3 or whatever. For Dargan, he got some modifier and percent increases, nothing crazy. He also got 3 passives. His passive Red Dream increases damage against earth enemies by 200%. Willow Dream gives 100% poison resist and 2 arts a second, while Jade Dream adds the effect of lowering burn resist by 20% for 20 seconds on his art. I think the best one here is definitely Red Dream, since it'll give him a strong 200% damage buff that could potentially make him usable against some earth bosses. All the others are just kinda mid, to be honest. For Herc, he got a few modifier and percent increases, nothing crazy either. His passive Red Dream gives all allies 20% fire resist, and Blue Dream gives 70% break power against fire units. I don't know which I would choose here, to be honest. The AoE fire resist is very good, although if you want to use him for break, it'll be very niche, but it could be somewhat usable. I'd maybe stick with Red Dream though, for the AoE fire resist. The next unit is Amelia. Her art's got a pretty decent duration buff from 4 to 10 seconds, while her true art got a fairly okay modifier buff, nothing too crazy though. Her passive Willow Dream heals all allies HP by 1% on her skill, while Dark Dream increases all dark allies arts by 2 a second. Definitely gonna go with Dark Dream for the AoE passive arts for dark units. Really strong for dark teams. Next is Eros. His arts and true art just got a few modifier and percent increases, nothing too crazy or strong. His passive Red Dream gives 70% crit damage and 100% crit rate near death, while Willow Dream increases break power by 70% to earth enemies and gives 2 arts a second. They're both kinda meh. He's trying to either be a DPS or breaker, although I don't know which I'd choose. Maybe Willow Dream to make him a breaker in some content, because his DPS isn't really too great. After that is Valhalla. His skill and arts had a small modifier and percent buff. His true art had an increase to a 5% heal a second, which is actually a very good heal for a free unit. Basically a free to play Haruto. Blue Dream increases all allies water resist by 20%, while Willow Dream gives 20% HP recovery to himself and 2 arts a second. While the arts a second is nice, the AoE water resist is very strong on harder missions, and a mono earth team would have a ton of damage resist with him, especially against a water boss. Next is Angelus. Her skill and art has some small changes, nothing crazy. Her true art got a pretty strong buff, increasing the damage modifier to 12,000 per flame. And her passive, which I'll talk about in a second, increases her max stacks to 8. So that equals out to a total of a 131,000 damage modifier, which is insanely strong. For her passive, it doubles the duration of the Dragon Flames, which is very nice. For Red Dream, she increases crit damage by 50% and skill CT speed by 20%, while Jade Dream increases accuracy by 50% and 2 arts a second. I'd maybe choose Red Dream to make her damage much better, while making her Dragon Flames come back faster. In all, her buffs actually make her somewhat usable as a DPS. A 131,000 damage modifier is no joke on a true art, especially with innate crit and fire resist down. Definitely sounds fun to use. The last unit, Eagle. His arts negates 10,000 damage now instead of 8,000, which is pretty nice, and it does 14,000 in Avenger mode, so that's interesting. His true art now gives him 25% damage resist and has a crazy 110,000 damage modifier in Avenger mode instead of 60,000. That's quite the change in damage. His passive Blue Dream gives 100% freeze resist and 3 arts a second. Willow Dream gives 15% damage resist near death and 6 arts a second near death. While Dark Dream increases arts by 100 at the start and gives him 100% damage to end god enemies. Definitely gonna choose Willow Dreams hands down. With the passive, alternating true art and using Truth of Eternity, he can get 60% damage resist without equips when he's near death, and using Grief will help to keep him low. These new buffs might actually make him usable as a tank considering how much damage resist he has, but we'll have to see. Very interesting for sure, especially with how high of a multiplier he has on his true art. Makes it seem like he could put out a small bit of DPS, but not really anything too crazy since he doesn't really have any damage passives. That's all there is for the Dream Evolution buffs, nothing crazy, although Angelus and Eagle definitely had the strongest buffs by far. I'm excited to see how Angelus performs in harder content since her DPS seems to be fairly solid. Not crazy, but usable. And Eagle, with all of his new damage resist, seems like he could fare fairly well as a tank, but we'd need to see how he does as well. Definitely seems like Dream Evolution buffs are gonna make future units actually usable, hopefully. Excited to see more of these. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.